Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. My name is Dr. Brian Grossman. Thank you for joining me. And we're going to spend the next 25 minutes talking about when your workforce is disconnected, your response determines your results. So thank you for joining me. You can put any comments you'd like in the chat. And by the end of this meeting, or if you're watching the recording, you can drop me a message in LinkedIn, direct message me, or I'll give you my website at the end of the meeting, and you can participate in a free workforce audit to talk about your engagement and what you'd like to optimize or improve. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Please put in the chat a thumbs up or a yes. Who here's ever struggled with low team engagement or miscommunication? I know I have, working in different environments, and today I absolutely promise that you will be given a proven framework to transform disconnected teams into high performers. So again, drop in the chat if you've had an issue with this, and let me know if you would like a free workforce audit. So what's the process or issue that comes up? What happens when we have a disconnected workforce? Now, I've seen this in my career with healthcare. I've seen this in mental health. I've seen this at nonprofits, certainly with tech versus sales. Sometimes tech is building something wonderful and sales is overpromising customers what the product might actually do without warning about startup bugs and things like that. So disconnected workforces lead to poor collaboration, declining engagement and morale, higher turnover and burnout. Higher turnover and burnout absolutely is most costly. And teams with low connection or lack of engagement are 25% less productive. They're 25% less productive. And when that happens, you're costing your organization missed opportunities, delays, and talent loss. Because when teams are less productive, there's lack of engagement, there can be less morale. There can be less productivity and connectiveness. So we want our teams to be connected. And so what starts happening when this occurs? So when traditional team building that you may be doing fails or doesn't impact the team anymore, or multiple teams. And one thing I'd love to just mention and emphasize is it could be multiple teams, right? In healthcare, we have several multidisciplinary teams working hopefully in unison and everybody working towards optimize patient care. And also, I've had the experience, and some of the people who are joining the meeting this morning absolutely are, in my past experience, in corrections, in home health care. We need our offsite teams also committed and engaged. So some common things that happen, you can have a one-off event and trust falls because we're not solving core issues. So when you try to do team building and engage and you do a one-off team building event, it's not solving the root issue. So what tends to start happening? Ongoing communication breakdowns, unclear expectations and communication, and what we call low psychological safety. People begin losing trust in the team and in the organization. And when doubt and negativity start creeping in, you all may know this, it starts spreading easily like a virus. And so when we turn that around and work on the core causes, the root causes, we absolutely can turn things around with having positivity spread, having communication spread. So it is the flip of the coin, and optimism, positivity can spread just as easily. Now, one thing I'd love to mention here is when you first start noticing as a team member, as a leader, as a CEO, the negativity creeping in, the lack of engagement, try to address it immediately. Try to address it immediately, top down and bottom up. And we'll be talking about how to do that. So, a quick phrase that I was taught by my father. My father was a self-employed middleman in the clothing manufacturing business. He ran a pleating and embroidery factory for over 40 years with my brothers, actually. Executive insight. So I encourage you all to write this down. What got you here won't get you there. So today we've got more than ever the multi-generational workforce. We have a lot of diversity within that multi-generational workforce. So older solutions may or may not work. And so let's talk about some newer innovations that can help. So as a PhD in psychology, you do not have to do therapy. However, sometimes we make an assumption about what's causing the issue. You want to literally be like a psychologist, a doctor, a pharmacist. You want to investigate, diagnose, don't assume. Diagnose, don't assume. And so, one best tip that I really like that works effectively, use real data. Use real data, engagement surveys, interviews, candid feedback. Welcome candid feedback. It's the hardest thing if you're a new supervisor, if you're a leader of multiple teams, to ask your team members to trust that there'll be no repercussions. You want either real feedback in person or through surveys and polls. Now, what has to happen is you've got to solve the connection gap. You have to solve the connection gap. And the way you do that is twofold. One, follow up, follow up, follow up. If you do engagement surveys, if you meet one-on-one with people, address the findings, address the findings, and have open forum meetings. Have open forum meetings. Now, I know in healthcare, in corrections, in multiple businesses, the first thing that comes up is we don't have time for that. Well, if you have time for negativity to creep in, lack of engagement, and high turnover, you can do this. You can have a series of 15-minute meetings. You can do lunch breaks, morning breaks for multiple teams to come in and have real candid feedback with the promise of no negative repercussions. So prioritize open forums. This I like to call radical transparency. Open the lines of communication. Radical transparency. Prioritize open forums and meetings. Leaders can model vulnerability and active listening. When leaders model vulnerability and active listening, your team can feel the engagement. They can sense that you're committed to make changes. And when they know that you are committed to making changes to help fix the issue, well, then you're going to be in great shape. You're going to optimize the open flow of communication and finding resolution. So, what when teams are disconnected, one of the key issues, and again, in the chats coming up, is yes, we don't have time for those open transparency meetings. Thank you, John, for commenting on that. What I'd love for you to be able to do is connect with your teams through these meetings and then be the performance driver. Be the performance driver. Now, what happens with this lack of engagement is, anybody have a guess? Please put it in the chat. Is excellent. Carol, thank you for that comment. You, as team members, they don't have a sense of belonging. When your team members or employees, no matter how big or small your organization is, if there's not a sense of connectivity and belonging, many times you'll notice people are just going through the emotions. They're not committed to optimal performance. They're going through the motions, they'll do the job, but you and they know we can reach out and do more. We can stretch ourselves for better performance. So, sense of belonging, we can create performance drivers. Connect your strategies that you get feedback on in meetings to individual purpose. So, a disconnected team can then turn around leaders. I'm sorry, a disconnected team will turn around after leaders reconnect. Now, how do we do that? One is use the feedback you get. And that sounds so obvious. However, many of us, and I know myself, we've given feedback. Sometimes the upper management leaders already have a solution and it has nothing to do or is not connected to the feedback you were given by many of the employees and teams. Well, that just furthers the disconnection. So use the feedback you received to reconnect. And here's a quick question. Please put in the chat, how many of you, just off the top of your head, how many of you can tell me the mission of your organization? Do you have a vision for each team? So mission is why we exist. Vision is where we're going and where we're headed. And I encourage, over my years of doing team building, communication, conflict resolution, and re-engagement, I absolutely recommend each team, nursing, doctors, crisis care, emergency room, tech, sales, engineering, whatever it may be, caregiving, the maintenance at a tire shop, each select team should have a mission statement and a vision. Why are they engaged? Where are they going and headed? What input do they want? So you can do not a mega event, but you can do micro events to build new habits, micro events to build new habits. And this is where leadership needs to be visible and available and be seen. So you can do daily, weekly, quarterly engagements. And when you do 5-minute check ins, you will reduce the disconnectedness of teams. So when you have this option and you're engaging your teams in 5-minute check-ins, learning moments, emails with quick tips of new habits, reminders of where we're going and where we're headed, it becomes a powerful engagement strategy. So you do not have to have hour-long meetings. You don't have to have mega weekend events to solve this. When your team is disconnected and they see leadership is now more visible, checking in, receiving feedback, and acting on that feedback, you reduce the negativity and you increase connectiveness. Now, we know this from real life engagement. We know this from studies. And all of you who are joining me this morning know this in your own leadership, whether you've been in leadership for a few months or years, when team members see leaders engaged, connectivity increases, motivation increases, and it becomes very powerful and the positive energy spreads. Now, next tip, consistency beats intensity. Consistency beats intensity. Consistency beats intensity. So what does that mean? In the medical world, we do flu shots. Well, you can get a flu shot, but if you're not doing care for yourself, if you're not eating right, if you're not taking care of yourself, uh, you may get the flu. Now, it might have less impact. Well, when you're doing a booster shot at work of engagement, of motivation, of getting the team to feel belonging and connectiveness, you want to do it consistently, not for 2 or 3 weeks. When employees notice that this is now daily, weekly, quarterly, they become engaged. And your employees, this is really important, will absolutely be your best recruiting tools. They will start talking to friends. Hey, come to our workforce. We're engaged and we're committed. Now, what has to happen? Accountability and empathy. You need to put yourself in the team member's position. Walk in their shoes. What's it like to feel disconnected? What's it like when we have one or two negative uh, employees? And I will tell you, when I was doing daily trainings for a seminar company, we used to call those people negaholics. Everything is a downer. Now I'm going to use a generational phrase. Some of the Gen Z people joining us this morning will not know this reference, but Debbie Downer from Saturday Night Live. No matter what the positive event is, they will always do the downside. So you need to confront the negative people, not in a mean way, but explain policy, rules, communication tools, and how to turn things around with them individually. So regular follow-up and human-centered feedback. Hey, John, I know where you're coming from. Hey, Sarah, I understand where you're at. Phil, I know just what you're feeling. Do you have any solutions? Ask the people on your team for feedback. And then, before you're done meeting with them one-on-one, follow up. Create the next micro meeting. Create the next check-in. When you check in as a leader, yes, is it extra work for you? It is absolutely a little extra work, but the payoff is optimization of performance, connectivity of the team, and the energy begins to take over. You'll have better sales, you'll have better patient outcomes, you'll have higher workforce retention. So before we run out of time, changes, real rapid results just with the framework that I gave you with micro meetings, with being more visible, with check-ins, with having feedback from your team, you'll have a 40% increase in engagement in less than 90 days. A 40% increase in engagement in less than 90 days. You'll have 20% less turnover. Think of the cost savings of that. And more importantly, you'll have renewed energy, innovation, and trust. So, how you respond today, how you personally, as an employee, as a leader, as a CEO, shapes your team's results for the next 30 days. So, I'd love for you to follow through with me, Dr. Brian. Let's do a free workforce connection audit. I have 20 spots available for the rest of August. It's free. I will send you some questions. You'll give me some answers. We'll schedule a 30-minute meeting and see if we can solve the workplace engagement issue at your workplace. So just drop me a direct message in LinkedIn or on Facebook. You can email me at Dr. Brian Says, Brian at drbriansays.com, and I will send you the audit and then we'll schedule a meeting. So I want to help you absolutely have more engagement, have optimized performance, more belongingness and connectivity. And again, you can have a team of 5 and be disconnected. You can have a team of 1,000 and be disconnected, but you can easily switch that around. You can have optimized performance, optimized outcomes in patient care, client care, increase in sales. So thank you for your time this morning. Really appreciate all of you joining me. The recording will be up on YouTube and on my LinkedIn company channel. Thank you for joining me. Have an excellent and exceptional rest of your Wednesday.